And maybe some of your friends will join later. Okay. Do you have a problem if I don't turn on the camera, or you have to prepare the preference if I should open my camera is okay? Or is it okay?
I think it's fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
Okay then. Okay. Wait. Share screen. All right. Okay, can you see the screen? Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, this morning we will have the tutorial classes in introductory microeconomics classes. Our lecturer is Ibu Femi Ruslan, and we will meet her this afternoon at 2 p.m. So make sure that you have connection or you have time to go there, because to spoil, Bu Femi is quite strict for the class if it is offline. In 2017, I was in her class in introductory microeconomics 2, but in regular classes, not in the international classes. And she will very, very angry if there was student who was late. So make sure that you will not come late in the class. And I will inform you that I have provided a link for our classes material. You can download, or you can see the materials from bit.ly/asislulu. Okay. So basically, I'm sorry if the presentation or the PPT is still contains many Indonesian words, but later I will make it in English. Yeah. Okay. So today we gonna study what is in the last class materials. So it's basically about the basic principle of economics, and then the economic scope, and then what is the core problem of economics, and then economics as a social science, and the tools for policy making. And then we will also talk about scarcity, choices, and also the opportunity costs. Okay. Hope you enjoy the class, guys. Okay, then. So we start with the history of economics. Economics. Firstly, maybe you have known Adam Smith. Adam Smith is told to be the father of economics, and basically economics comes from the word households. Oikos, which means household, and nomos, which means law or custom. Or, I'm sorry, my home is literally, what is that? Near the street, yeah. So you can hear some voices of vehicles passing. So I'm sorry. Household, it means that in Indonesia it means rumah tangga, yeah. Nomos, it means aturan. So basically economics shows or tells us how a household, it's not basically it's not a household. I mean, not only consumers household, but also in economics we also know that there is producers. So we also talk about producer and how they regulate. I mean, how they make decisions in market. how they using their scarce resources. I mean, when they have limited amount of money, or when they have limited amount of time, how they regulate their their choice gitu ya. That is economics. And yeah, Paul Samuelson said that economics is the study of how man and society choose with or without the use of money, and then to employ the scarce productive resource. So this is our main concept ya, about scarcity, or what in Indonesia is called kelangkaan gitu ya. When something is scarce gitu ya, I mean, when we have limited or scarce resources, so we have a constraint to maximize both our utility if we are consumer, or to maximize our production if we are producers. So to employ our scarce productive resources, which have alternative uses, to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in future among various people and groups of society. And it analyzes the costs and benefits of improving pattern of resource allocation. So in the last sentences, you could see that if we try to allocate our resources, I mean, if we try to choose, in choosing, we have to accommodate all of the costs and all of the benefits. We should compare the marginal benefits and also the marginal costs. Okay, that is basically, maybe you have heard the materials in your senior high school, or maybe you have studied before, yeah, you have read the materials. And I recommend you guys to read the Mankiw books, yeah. The Mankiw, yeah. Maybe I have attached the book in this link, yeah, you can download it there. Why I recommend you to read the books? Because if you read the books, you will get the whole image, the whole perspective from our material. So what is that? When I was a freshman in FEB UI, I felt like the flow of the book was so good. And yeah, so I also got the story, not only the point of the materials, like maybe you have studied in senior high school. Maybe, oh, if price increases, the quantity decreases. Mankiw doesn't tell that simplicity. I mean, Mankiw tells us why and why. Yeah. So you will have the broad image and the whole image of our materials there. I recommend you guys to read the books. Okay. So this is the main concept of economics. Economics is useful. Why? Because it applies a set of core principles to make the best decisions and choices with full information available. So the information here is about the benefit and the cost. Yeah. So if you have those information about the benefit and the cost of an alternative or many alternatives, you could compare the net benefit, so that if you have to choose, you will choose the best, which has the highest net benefit. Yeah? Net benefit, you could compare the net benefit which is the net benefit is the benefits minus the cost. Yeah. Okay. Next, the second point, the decisions and choices have to be made because we have resource scarcity. Suppose that you are an undergraduate student and you still don't have any salary or any income, and your income is just from your parents. Maybe you have what is called in Indonesia is uang jajan, yeah. You have maybe your parents send you money monthly, $5 million. 5 million rupiah. I mean, 5 million rupiah. So with that 5 million rupiah, you have to, You have to allocate how much you want to consume, maybe for internet package, terus how much you should consume for buying, buying groceries, maybe buying toiletries, buying, t-shirts, or maybe shoes, or maybe new gadgets. So you should allocate that 5 million rupiah so that you can fulfill all of your priority needs, gitu ya. So basically kalau misalnya if you have 5 million rupiah as a consumer, as a rational consumer, you will first fulfill your primary needs. Yeah, maybe you need toiletries if you are, or maybe you need a skincare. Maybe you need to keep your vision up to date. Yeah, and then another. So you should maximize what you get from that 5 million rupiah. Okay. Next, the decision also has to be made because we have to decide how to allocate that scarce resources. And economics study that. Study how we allocate our scarce resources in order to get the maximum utility if we are consumer, or to get the maximum production if we are producer. Okay, so from here, do you have an equation? No. Okay. Maybe it's too long, my explanation, but later in the end, we will have exercise. I have put the exercise from last year's midterm test. So we will also we will also do that exercise. Okay. No. If you see the first chapter, we study how people make decisions. There is 4 principles related to how people make decisions. First, the principle number 1, people face trade-offs. It means that if we have 2 options, and based on the net benefit comparison, you have done the comparison for A and B. You see that the net benefit of A is bigger than the net benefit of B. So basically, if you have chosen the option A, you cannot choose the B. You have to be patient that you cannot choose the B, because that is trade-off. You only have limited time. Maybe you can spend your time go around with friends, or you could spend your time studying microeconomics. Okay, in Indonesia courses, introductory microeconomics is PE1, pengantar ekonomi 1. Maybe you studying PE1 gitu ya. Nah, if you compare the net benefit, you prefer to choose going around with friends. For you, that contains the highest net benefit. So with your limited time available, you cannot study introductory microeconomics in the same time. Maybe for the next 1 hour, you are confused whether to go with friends or whether to study introductory microeconomics. And if you chose your next 1 hour would be to go with friends, so you cannot study introductory microeconomics. So that is trade-off. If you choose option A, you cannot choose option B. Okay. If you have chosen the option A, you could get the benefit from the option B. That is the trade-offs. Or we have see that here the vocab is no freelance. There is no freelance. If if you choose an option, you have to sacrifice other option. Yeah, there is no freelance. I mean that if you, there cannot be, if you choose option A, you still could choose option B. Yeah, there cannot be an option. Okay, you cannot choose the option at one period of time. Okay, next, the principle number 2. The cost of something is what you give up to get it. Okay. If we choose an option, we should consider also what is called the opportunity cost. Yeah, the opportunity cost is what the best alternative forgone. Yeah, what is the benefit of the best alternative that you are not choose, that you don't choose. Yeah, suppose that as an what is it? After graduating from senior high school, yeah, you have 3 options: option A, option B, and option C. Yeah. Option A is working as a barista in a cafe. Yeah. Barista in a cafe, and you will get a monthly salary of 3 million rupiah. And then also option B, what you have chosen here, yeah, being FEB student. Being FEB student, and then an option C may be being Unpad student. Yeah. Unpad, Universitas Padjadjaran, is one of the university in Bandung, yeah, in West Java, and yeah, it's still it's the second, maybe the second best economics in Indonesia, maybe, or UGM, I don't know. But the best is FEB, right? Okay. Okay. Maybe if there are 3 options, you had 3 options back to the time when you are graduating from the high school, and you choose the option B. So if you choose the option B, you cannot get the benefit from option A and option C. Okay, that is the cost. Yeah, you cannot choose what is the net benefit of option A and option C. But the opportunity cost is the second highest best alternative. So if you think that being a barista in a cafe benefit is higher than being Unpad student, then this would be the opportunity cost. Yeah. So the opportunity cost is the highest net benefit from the second best alternative that you cannot get because you have choose your choices. That is the opportunity cost. Jadi opportunity cost itu adalah, kalau jelasin pakai bahasa Indonesia ya, opportunity cost itu adalah benefit kedua terbesar, ya. The second best benefit of the alternative that you don't choose, gitu ya. Jadi benefit yang hilang dari alternatif pilihan kedua terbaik yang tidak jadi kamu pilih. Itu adalah opportunity cost. Okay. Next ya, principle number 3. Rational people think at the margin. So if you have an option option A and option B, you should compare the net benefit ya, the margin. I mean, ya misalnya you compare the net benefit of option A and option B. Which one is biggest? That is rational people think at the margin. Also, if you want to consume ice cream, yeah, you have the marginal benefit there, yeah, marginal benefit of ice cream, and you have also the marginal cost of an ice cream. The marginal benefit of eating ice cream is the utility you got from that additional cup of ice cream ya. Jadi marginal benefit dari mengkonsumsi 1 cone ice cream gitu ya, yaitu adalah ya berapa kepuasan kamu bertambah ketika mengkonsumsi 1 es krim itu. Meanwhile, the marginal cost is the additional cost from consuming ice cream. Ya, jadi tambahan biaya ketika mengkonsumsi es krim. What is that marginal cost? The marginal cost of eating ice cream is the price of that ice cream. The marginal benefit from eating ice cream is additional utility you got from that ice cream, or additional utility is marginal utility gitu ya. Marginal utility of the ice cream. So you should compare the marginal utility, compare the cost, compare the price of the ice cream. Is it worth it to eat an ice cream maybe with price 100,000 rupiah? Kalau ada es krim harganya 100.000 rupiah, kamu kira-kira mau konsumsi nggak? Kira-kira utility kamu sama atau enggak dengan 100.000 itu? Ya, so you should compare the marginal utility. Is it worth it? Is your utility maybe is the same like the cost you have spent, gitu? Okay. Okay, next principle number 4 ya. People respond to incentives gitu ya. Ya, basically people will eager to do something if they have they got something from the activities. Maybe Bu Maria Elka in the previous session, yeah, in the previous class, talked about a friend asked you to pick you up from the Gambir station. Yeah. Do you want to pick him up or pick her up? It's basically you have to see the incentives gitu ya. What is the incentives of picking a friend from Gambir station to FEUI? Maybe the situation is when before the pandemic ya. Mau nggak sih kamu? Akankah kamu menjemput teman kamu yang ada di stasiun Gambir untuk diantarkan ke kampus gitu ya? Nah, ya kamu lihat you have to choose the incentives. Ada insentifnya nggak nih? Gitu. If you think that you will don't get you won't get the incentives that you are expecting, so yeah, you will not choose the options. Kalau misalnya nggak ada insentifnya, ya mungkin kamu akan jadi mager gitu ya, males gerak, ngapain ke sana gitu. So that is the principle number 4. Okay. Next, economics is about how people interact. Yeah, it is about trade can make everyone better off with specialization. Yeah, sorry. It's specialization. Maybe it's worthless for Indonesia to produce cars. Yeah, but Japan is specialized at producing cars. So Indonesia and Japan could make a trade. Yeah, could trade each other. Maybe Indonesia trade for the agricultural products and Japan trade for the cars. Yeah, so we will produce more if we specialize at something. Yeah, because we have competitive advantage. Yeah, comparative advantage. Yeah. And yeah, principle number 6: markets are usually a good way to organize an economic activity. If we see what is Adam Smith states about this statement in his book, an inquiry into the nature and the causes of the wealth of nations, or the wealth of nations. Yeah, in short, Adam Smith told that there is invisible hand in the markets. Basically, the invisible hand is the market mechanism. So we just laissez-faire. Yeah, I mean, we just let the market fix itself. Laissez-faire. Let the market work itself. Yeah, let the market. What is that? Organize themselves. Yeah. Itu adalah perkataannya Adam Smith. Jadi biarin aja pasar, dibiarkan saja pasarnya seperti itu, karena pasti pasar punya mekanisme pasar yang bisa mengeluarkan output yang paling baik gitu ya. Jadi the market mechanisms produce the most efficient ways in economics gitu. Okay, but sometimes we need the role of the governments to regulate or to fix the market failures gitu ya. For example, to provide the public goods and then to internalize the externality cost and then to to hold regulations to regulate the monopoly. Okay, so that there won't be the market won't produce an inefficient product ya, because there is a monopoly power. Jadi kalau ada daya monopoli, if there is monopoly power, ya, the markets will not produce the most efficient output gitu ya. Jadi kalau ada monopoly power, pasar itu akan jadi inefficient ya. If there is monopoly power, the market would be inefficient. The output of the market, yeah, I mean the output of the market will be inefficient or won't be efficient. Okay, so also there is still principle number 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, it is about the principle number 10 is about the standard of living. Is the ability to produce the goods. So if we have producer over here, yeah, the producer produce the goods and services. If the production is increased, yeah, if the production is increasing, it means that the producer will get higher income because the producer's income is based on the amount of their production. Yeah, so if the production increase, their income will increase. If the income of the producer increase, they will have the ability. They will gain more abilities to pay their laborers with wage. The wage will also increase, yeah, and then the rent, yeah, they will have the ability to pay higher rent so that the household will have the income also increasing, yeah. If the income of the producer increases, the income of households will also increase. Okay. So if the income increase, we will have here people will consume more. Yeah, the consumption will consume more. The consumption will also increase. Jadi kalau produksinya increase, maka pendapatannya akan naik. Ketika pendapatan naik, orang itu bisa konsumsi lebih banyak. Yeah. So when people consume more, their standard of living is rising. Yeah. So their life become a better life. Yeah. Okay. Next principle number 9. Price rises when the government prints too much money. So, yeah, if the government prints too much money, we will see that there will be an inflation, or maybe if it is too much, there would be a hyperinflation. Yeah, maybe you have heard this equation, yeah. M times V equals P times Y, atau M ini adalah jumlah uang yang beredar. The amount of circulating money gitu ya, money base. V ini adalah velocity of circulation of the money, ya. How speed is the money circulate in an economy gitu ya. P is the price of the products and Y is the real GDP or the production of an economics, ya. In the long run, we have the money neutrality theory, ya. So we help the velocity and the real GDP to be constant, ya. Jadi dalam jangka panjang, in the long run, velocity sama real GDP-nya is constant. So you could see that if there is an increase in the money circulating in the economy, the price will also increase, yeah, based on these equations. This is the Irving-Fisher quantity theory of money equation, yeah. So that is principle number 9. And then if we move to principle number 10, society face a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Basically, the curve is like here, it is inflation, and this is the unemployment. So the relationship is a negative relationship in the long run. In the short run. If you want to get the lower rate of inflation, you will have a high level of unemployment. So there is a trade-off. Jadi mau inflasinya tinggi atau unemployment-nya tinggi, itu adalah sebuah trade-off. Why? Because if Kalau misalnya inflasinya tinggi, ini aku jelasin pakai bahasa Indonesia dulu ya. Kalau inflasinya tinggi, it means kalau inflasinya tinggi nih titik A ya, inflasi tinggi, unemployment-nya akan turun. Oke. Why? Because high inflation is usually due to or because there is an increase in the demand. Yeah. So higher inflation means that maybe there is an increase in the demand. If there is an increase in the demand, so the producer will produce more, or the production is increasing. Yeah. If the production is increasing, the producer need more employment, so unemployment will be very low. Gitu ya. Jadi kalau inflasinya tinggi, itu biasanya dikarenakan demand-nya yang tinggi. Demand-nya tinggi, maka produksinya akan tinggi. Ya. Jika produksinya tinggi, maka membutuhkan banyak tenaga kerja. Jika tenaga kerjanya banyak yang dipakai, maka tingkat pengangguran atau unemployment rate ya bakalan rendah, gitu ya. So the society face the short run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Why? Because if the inflation is high, yeah, if the inflation is high, it is usually because of the increasing demand, and the increasing demand will lead to increasing production, which means that the producer will need a lot of employee, yeah, will need a lot of forces, so it will make the unemployment rate low. Gitu ya. That is the explanation why in the short run society faces a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. Okay. Okay. Next, chapter 2, thinking like an economist. Basically, in this chapter, we will study more about what is trade-off, opportunity costs, choices, and any other. Okay. So first, economists play two roles in the economy, as a scientist and also as a policy advisors. As a scientist, economists try to utilize their knowledge to explain the world. Why X become true when Y is true, gitu ya. Why something happens? How to avoid the negative things to be happened, gitu ya. And as a policy advisors, economists try to improve the existing condition of an economy. Gitu. Okay. This is as a scientist, yeah, I have explained to you. Sometimes economists also use models to study economic issues. Maybe if I have to give you one of the examples, my thesis use an economics model to show what will happen if we internalize the external cost from carbon dioxide emissions, ya. Gimana ceritanya kalau emisi karbon dioksida itu biayanya dimasukkan ke struktur biaya perusahaan, gitu. Jadi itu kan economics issue ya, tentang eksternalitas. Gimana caranya untuk mengeluarkan external cost-nya itu, how to internalize, nah, gimana caranya untuk menginclude external cost di dalam struktur biaya perusahaan. How to internalize the external cost to the cost of production consideration, gitu ya. Also, as a scientist, economists make assumptions so that we could simplify the complex word and make it easier to understand. For example, if price increase, then the quantity of the demanded quantity of products will decrease. We have the assumption here, ceteris paribus. It means that there is no other factors change. There is your income will stay constant, and then the preference, the consumer preference is also constant. So if we increase the price, we will get a decreasing amount of the quantity demanded of that goods, gitu ya. Jadi dengan asumsi pendapatannya tetap, gitu ya, maka ceritanya pasti ketika harga naik, kuantitas yang diminta bakalan turun. There is a different stories if the price increase and then the Y or the income is also increase. It might result to the quantity might increase also because consumers' ability to pay for the good is also increase. Ya, jadi this assumption is hold constant. Ya, the Y is hold constant, the preference also hold constant, and any other factors is also held constant. Okay. Next, we have a circular flow here in the economics. Yeah, we have firms and also households on the factors of production. Mereka punya faktor produksi. For example, labor. They have labor. They have land. They have tanah, tenaga kerja, tanah, modal ya atau capital. And then they have kewirausahaan atau entrepreneurship. And these factors of production is used by the firms, yeah. So the firms buy the factors of production, but if the firms buy the factors of production, the payment there is the payment, yeah. I mean, for labor we have wage here. For land we have rent. Yeah? You pay rent for the land, and then you pay interest rate for the capital, and you pay profit for someone who have an entrepreneurship. Okay. And then also household is household buy and consume goods and services that is produced by the firm. So there is a connection between firms and household in the economy. Okay. So in the economy, basically we have two markets for output or markets for goods and services, and markets for inputs or markets for factors of production. So this is input and this is output. Okay, I'm sorry if my writings is bad. Okay, the markets for goods and services, the sellers is the firms, yeah, because they are producing goods and services, and the buyers is household. They buy goods and services to fulfill their needs. And then in the markets of factors of production, yeah, inputs are bought and sold. The four inputs like I have explained before, there is land, labor, capital, and also entrepreneurships. The sellers is the households, yeah. Households sell them to the firms, and the firms buy them. Okay. So if we could see the flow here, yeah. Okay. For the markets, for the red lines, yeah, for the red lines, it is the flow of, what is that? Oh yeah, if you want to go to the toilet, feel free, yeah. I also record this meeting, so basically your friends who do not join will still could watch the recording later. Okay. Okay. If you could see, the red lines is the goods and services. I mean the product. Yeah. The product of the output market is the output, of course, and the product of the factors of production is the inputs. Okay, outputs and inputs. So in the markets for factor production, we could see that the interaction between household and firms is sell and buy the factors of production. Household give the labor, land, capital as a factors production, yeah, of the firms. Yeah, maybe I will use the pointer here. Household, yeah, send the laborers, sell the laborers, land and capital to the firms, and the firms use them as the factors of production. And for that factors of production, the firms must pay the wages, rent, and profit for the household, and the household, what is that? Record that as their income. Okay, and for the markets of for goods and services, firms sell their goods and services, and then the household bought them. Yeah. So this is the flow of the goods and services. And the green line is the flow of the money. Households pay for the goods and services, and this would be revenue for the firm. So that is the circular flow. Still simple, okay? So now we will study about trade-off and opportunity cost in the production possibility frontier. A production possibility frontier is a graph that shows various combinations of output that the economy can possibly produce. For example, we have the point F here, yeah. In the point F, maybe in this point we produce 2,000 and maybe 600, yeah, of computers and maybe 100 of cars produced, yeah. This is in this is in point F, yeah. So in point F we have maybe 2,600 computers, 2,600 computers, and maybe 150 lah, yeah. 130 maybe, yeah, cars. But if we move to point A, gitu ya, if we move to point A, we have 2,200 computers, okay, computers and 600 cars. Okay, so that is the combination of output that could be produced by the producer given the available factors of production. So all of the points inside the PPF shows that the producer have used all of their resources, gitu ya. Jadi di sepanjang kurva di PPF ini diasumsiin produsen itu udah pakai semua faktor produksinya. So there will be no idle resources. Jadi nggak ada resource yang tidak terpakai. There is no resources idle. And in this PPF, it is assumed that the producer have used all of the available production technology. Okay. Next, yeah. Next, if we see the PPF, we could see that from one point we could move to another point. If you maybe this from point A, ya, dari titik A nih. If we want to increase the production of the cars by 100, if we want to increase the production of cars by 100 units, we have to reduce or decrease our production of computers by 200 units. Yeah. So basically, it shows the trade-off. If you want to increase cars production, you have to decrease the computers production. Yeah. In this point, we see that there is trade-off. Okay. And then next, the production possibilities frontier could be in two versions. Yeah. There is the both outward version and also the linear version. So we will see what is the difference between both of them. First, it is the linear version of the production possibility frontiers. It still tells us that the society face trade-offs. Yeah, if they would like to increase the production of the soybean, they should decrease the production of the airplanes. Okay. And you see that the slope of the PPF, the gradient atau kemiringan ya, the slope of the PPF, it is shows the trade-off, yeah, shows the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of increasing the production of soybean from 0 to 1,000, yeah, increasing by 1,000. It means that the economy should reduce the production of airplanes by 20. So that is the slope. Yeah. So the slope of the PPF shows us that we have the opportunity cost of increasing the production of soybeans in terms of production of airplane, gitu ya. Jadi opportunity cost atau slope dari production possibility frontier itu menunjukkan opportunity cost kalau kita mau menambah produksi soybean dibandingkan dengan produksi airplanes-nya. Okay. Notes also, we have the green words here, yeah, the green statement here. The PPC, the production possibility curve or the production possibility frontier, yeah. PPC is the same like PPF, yeah. It could be also the production possibility curve, yeah. The abbreviation is PPC. PPC or PPF could save if there is a technological progress. Kalau teknologinya makin canggih, si PPF-nya ini bakalan geser ke kanan. So it means that using the same amount of resources, we could produce more because we have technological advancement. Yeah, if there is technological improvement or technological progress or technological advancement, the PPF will shift to the right. Yeah, that is the linear version of the PPF. And we also have the board outward version of the PPF. The board outward version of the PPF show the increasing opportunity cost. This condition sometimes occurs when the resources of the economy is specialized. Yeah, there is a specialized worker in beers and there is a specialized workers in mountain bikes. So the workers is completely different. Yeah, the skill set to produce beer and to produce mountain bikes is very different. So from point A to what is the point here ya? Dari titik A ke titik yang ada di sini kita bisa lihat kalau mau menambah satu produksi mountain bikes gitu ya. Di sini mungkin cuma mengurangi setengahnya aja, gitu kan ya. Jadi if you want to add in point A, if you want to add one production of mountain bikes, maybe you only have to sacrifice a half of beer production. The half units of beer production. But in point B, if you want to increase 1 unit of mountain bikes production, you have to reduce more. Why? Because in B, yeah, in point B, the opportunity cost is higher because maybe there is no specialized workers left from the production of mountain bikes. So in point B, we force the workers for the beer to work in the mountain bikes industry, which means that they will have low productivity. So yeah, we have to the productivity of the mountain bikes is reduced. Yeah, why this is +1? Because yeah, maybe the workers for the beer work here so that they cannot produce in high quantity. Okay. So we sacrifice the specialized worker in beers, yeah. The specialized workers in beers, maybe they have they could produce 5 beers, but if they move to the production of mountain bikes, they only could produce 1 mountain bike. So we could see over here, if we increase the production of mountain bikes, it will reduce the higher amounts of beers because we force the specialized worker that accustomed to the production of beers to work in mountain bikes. Yeah, they will have what is called culture shock. Yeah, maybe they don't have any skill set for the production of mountain bikes, so their productivity will be very low. So that is the shape of the PPF. This is the board outward fashion. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Bu Femi chat me. Oh yeah, if you have problem in entering the Google Classroom, maybe you can use the UI email, yeah. Use your UI email because I have also the same problem. I log in using my my Gmail and I cannot enter the classroom. And when I change the email to my UI email, I could successfully enter the classroom. Maybe you should try. Okay. Okay. And as a policy advisor, we know that maybe you can see that there is so many what is that news, yeah, that one of our economists is present in the news. Jadi misalnya kalau in the TV ya, in the news TV, maybe kalau di Indonesia itu TV One gitu ya, atau Metro TV, they usually invite economists ya to present the data or maybe to present their arguments and the opinion about a certain economics problem or certain economics issue. If the statement that is said by the economist is based on data, based on the facts, this is the positive statement, yeah. This is the descriptive statement. And if the economist mengatakan sesuatu yang itu merupakan pendapat dia, yang merupakan opinion, and then about what ought to be, ya, apa yang harus dilakukan, what ought to be in the economy, it is a normative statement, okay? Okay. Nah, coba deh, maybe we could, I could explain here to you. Price rises when the government increase the quantity of money. So this is a positive statement because it is a fact. Yeah. B, the government should print less money. Nah, di sini ada kata should ya. There is a should here. It means that it is a prescriptive or it is what ought to be in the economy. Yeah. So this is a normative statement. Okay. And then C, a tax cut is needed to stimulate the economy. Nah, this is the normative because yeah, maybe in some situations to stimulate the economy, there is many options, yeah. And if you recommend a tax cut, it might be normative, yeah. And also it does not contain any data or any facts, so it is normative. Okay, and the D, yeah, D, an increase in the price of burritos will cause an increase in the consumer demand for movie streaming. Yeah. So because this is what is that? Kalau harga burrito naik, ya, demand konsumen for movie streaming will increase. This is the positive statement. Yeah. Positive statement. It is the same stories if the price of what is that? If the price of studying in Harvard is increasing, the price of study in Oxford maybe. Sorry. If the price of studying in Harvard is increasing, maybe the quantity demanded for studying in Oxford will be decreasing. Yeah. Or maybe if because there are substitution goods, ya. Jadi kalau substitusi kan kalau harga kuliah di Harvard naik ya pasti bakalan orang-orang lari atau pindah ke Oxford gitu ya. If the price of studying in Harvard is too expensive, people will move their options reconsidering to studying in Oxford because it is cheaper, relatively cheaper. Okay, maybe if the price of Netflix subscription is increasing, maybe the quantity demanded of what is that? Cable internet, jangan kabel internet ya, Wi-Fi. The quantity demanded for Wi-Fi subscription would be decreased. Why? Because they are complementary good. Yeah. Okay. If the price of Netflix increase, it will automatically. Kalau misalnya harga Netflix yang naik, pasti orang-orang pada nggak mau subscription Netflix. Kayak reduce ya. If the price of Netflix increase, people will reduce the amount of their subscription to Netflix, and yeah, they will reduce also the number of movies they are watching, and the quantity of what is that? The data, the internet data they are needed is also will decrease. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I mean ini naik ya. Ini naik nih. Kalau harga kuliah di Harvard naik, ya orang-orang pada pindah ke Oxford ya. So the quantity demanded for Oxford will increase. Gitu. Jadi kalau harga kuliah di Harvard naik, ya udah orang-orang kuliahnya pada di Oxford. Itu untuk pasar ini ya, mungkin pasar masters program gitu ya. Okay. Nah, this is the modern economics problems. The modern economics problem is what is to be produced, how to be produced, and for whom. What, how, and for whom. Okay, Bu Femi is sharing me. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. The last it is about the scope of economics. We have microeconomics, which tells us the smallest scope. Yeah. We study the consumer's household. We study the producer decision. We study how they regulate themselves in the market, how they decide in the market what amount of goods that is maximizing their utility, how much production they should produce to maximize their production, how much labor they will use gitu ya, how much the waste they will give to the labor, how much the price of a market gitu ya, supply and demand, utility market, cost production, and so on. And if we study the microeconomics, we have a more broad, we have broader scope. We study the inflation, unemployment, inflation is the increasing of prices, general price increases kalau the inflation. Kalau unemployment, it means that someone who doesn't work growth, the increase of production ini kalau productionnya increase, it means that we have a growth. Standard of living, it related to the consumption. If your consumption is increasing, that your standard of living is increasing. We study also the interaction between one country with another country. It is studied in the international trade. Okay, now I will explain you the midterm test. It is the question in the midterm test for the last year, So, sorry, last year or last semester, I think last semester sih. No, last year, because it is rarely for the Department of Economics to hold introductory microeconomics classes in the odd semester. In the even semester. Okay, number 1, Amanda gets a present for her brother in the form of cash money. With that money, Amanda has choices to buy new shoes or new clothes, which will cost her 500,000 rupiah. The economic principle that is most suitable to express Amanda's situation is yang mana nih? Which one? What I see from this question is Amanda has 2 options Whether Amanda has 2 options. The first is buy new shoes. And the second is buy new clothes. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to explain us the answer maybe? Siapa nih yang on mic? Boleh jelasin nggak apa-apa? Nanti gue tambahin nilai keaktifan dah. Kalau misalnya lo jawab. Kalau if you want to answer any of the questions or maybe if I ask you can answer ya. I will add the participation. What is the participation score if later Bu Femi asks me?
Sikap.
Ya, trade off, bener ya. Betul, yang trade off. Why? Because if Amanda buy new shoes, ya ini kan harganya 500.000. The price is 500,000. If she already buy the new shoes, she cannot buy the new clothes. Gitu. Okay, that is the multiple choice. So the midterm test usually in essays ya. Biasanya essay. Tapi I don't know why last year we have multiple choice over there. So you could also prepare for all of the kinds of questions that might appear on your exam sheet. Okay. So this is for the essay, yeah. Suppose that you could read first, yeah. Maybe I will not disturb you. You could read first. Okay, done reading? Okay, so this question is basically about production possibility frontier of the Krypton economy. So we are asked to draw. Yeah, here it is said that Krypton was able to produce a maximum 200 units of machinery with no food. So in this point, if the Krypton economy is produced all of the resources to produce machinery, they will produce 200. So this is here, yeah, 200. Okay, and if all of the resources is used for the production of the food with no machinery produced, it will produce 400. Okay, so you could see the point over there, yeah. Describe various economics concept depicted by the curve, yeah. So this is the concept will be the trade-off there and the opportunity cost. Okay. The concept of the source trade-off, yeah. For example, first the trade-off, yeah. In the essays question, you could tell that the trade-off is if the Krypton economy wants to add one more from one good of machinery, it should decrease the amount of food production. You could tell that, yeah. That basically I have explained before, yeah, about the trade-off. And then beside the trade-off, it also the slope of the PPF. The slope of the PPF tells us about the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. Ya, ini kan okay. The curve is both outward, ya. Okay, since the curve is both outward, so don't forget that our opportunity cost is rising over time. Maybe in here, ya, itu kan nomor B ya, yang B sekalian ya. On the same graph of point A, put 3 points labeled by A, B, and C. And put 3 points that illustrate on the Krypton economy. Ya udah, ini you could, what is that? You could make your own numbers ya. Maybe in point A you have what is that? 40 machinery, and maybe here 380 foods. Okay. Okay. And in B you have 18 machinery. And maybe here is 350 foods. And in point C, you have 120 machinery, and maybe over here is 200 berapa ya? 230 deh. No, 280. 280 foods. Okay. So in here, from point A and to B, you could draw ya that if ini 40, ini 80 gitu ya, ini 120, ini tadi di sini 380, ini 350, dan ini adalah kayaknya better 300 saja ya, 300 deh, ya 300. Okay. So if the shape is board outward, you could tell you could write in your answer sheet that if to move from point A to point B, to add the production of machinery by 40 units, you have to increase the production. You have to decrease the production of food by 30. Yeah. From point B to C, if you want to add the production of machinery 40, you have to reduce here is 50. So the slope from A to B ya, itu kan ini nih 30-40 ya, 30 and 40. Okay. And from B to C is if you want to add 40 machinery, you have to reduce 50 foods here. So from A to B, the opportunity cost here is higher ya. Opportunity cost, the opportunity cost of A to B and B to C, the B to C is higher ya. Jadi opportunity cost semakin ke bawah itu opportunity costnya semakin naik. If the graph is board outward, as you increase the number of machinery you produce, the opportunity cost will be higher. And you could tell about it in your answer sheet. Okay, since this is an international class, you have to answer that in English, of course, yeah. Okay, and then option C. Let's say that 5 years ago, the economy is still underutilized its resource. On the same graph, put a point D that describes such condition. So in point Krypton underutilized the resource. Ya, jadi there is some resource that is idle 5 years ago. So we have point D. Where is point D? Point D is over here. Yeah, you could draw anywhere inside the curve. It could be in here or in here or in some point inside the PPF. That is the point where the Krypton underutilized the resources. Okay. In D point ya, di titik D itu titiknya adalah attainable. It is feasible to produce in point D, but it is inefficient. You could tell that. You can tell that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. In point D, it is attainable, but it is inefficient. Okay. You could tell this answer that point D ya, yang D. Point D. Ini kan pertanyaannya adalah how do you explain the change in Krypton economy during 5 years? Point D is underutilized. Okay. Underutilized. Point D, the economy underutilized the resources. So the point D is attainable but inefficient gitu ya. Ceritain aja gitu ya. Tell all you know ya, with the best explanation you can give ya. Okay, how do you explain the change in the Krypton economy during the 5-year period? Berarti, so in this 5-year period, gitu ya. Krypton economy has increased the utilization of their resource. So they could produce along the PPF, not below the PPF, gitu ya. Okay, terus in point E, suppose that in 2020, the Krypton economy is able to increase the production of its good by 50%. What would happen to the production possibility frontier? Okay, for example, we have here the existing production possibility frontier. If the Krypton economy is firstly able to produce more machinery, it might be because the production, the technology of producing machinery is increasing, or it could be basically it is technology production. Yeah, if the technology production is increasing in machinery, the slope will, the curve will rotate ya, will be like here. Ini apabila teknologi, if there is technology advancement, if the technology production in machinery is increasing. Okay. Nah, sorry. Yang next ya, kalau misalnya if the production of food and the technology production is also increasing, then we move from the newest PPF to here. Yeah, so it will also shift. Yeah, this is because the technology advancement in food. Okay. So that is the question and the explanation. Basically, if you have understand the PPF, you will smoothly answer this, yeah. And also, Bu Femi is perfectionist, yeah, because in senior high school, she usually teaches for the economics Olympiad. And make sure that your answer is perfect. I mean, not so perfect, but it's good enough. It's enough, ya. Ya, jadi dia biasa ngajar OSN gitu. Jadi ya dia biasanya mau jawaban yang bagus gitu ya. She want a good answer. And ini bukan aku nakutin ya, tapi waktu itu di in my class 4 years ago, 4 years ago ya. 4 years ago, there is one student who will not pass the courses ya. I hope all of you will pass these courses ya, with flying colors also ya. Yang penting adalah dibaca ya. Waktu itu anaknya emang parah banget sih ya. The students who didn't pass is so messed up ya. Emang dia anaknya parah banget, soalnya dia teman OPK gue. Soalnya dia teman OPK gue nggak lolos karena emang dia he is so lazy ya. He also always comes late ya. He came late ya. Jadi Bu Femi emang udah nandain anaknya gitu ya. Jadi ketika nilainya dia jelek, when his grade is bad, Bu Femi will not help him because he always came late to the class, and he didn't attend the tutorial classes, which means that he don't want the knowledge. I don't know why he is like that. So jangan ditiru ya guys yang kayak gitu. Okay, and this is the problem from midterm test in my years, I think ya. Yeah, you could explain what you have known. Please be concise and be complete ya to answer the question. Okay. I think all of them I have explained. Okay, so I will stop the share screen. Maybe we come to the end of our tutorial classes, and I will not end the classes because I have to print the screen for the reports to the international programs to Pak Puji ya. Okay. Wait. Intro mikro. Oke, sit in 1, asis 1. Oke deh. Thank you guys for attending my tutorial classes. I'm sorry if my English messed up ya. Maaf kalau Inggrisnya berantakan. I still also learning English and try to speak. I hope you understand and I hope you will attend also the next tutorial classes. Thank you. Bye all.
Terima kasih, Kak.
Terima kasih, Kak.
Yoi.
Terima kasih, Kak.
Oke, thank you, Kak. Thank you.
Yoi.
Thank you, Kak.